That's beautiful. That is a fitting song for the last Sunday of the year. Because what God has for you in 2013 is for you. I would like to give honor to God, who I am so grateful for waking me up this morning to see another day. He didn't have to do it, but he did. I give honor to Christ for making a sacrifice for you and I, so that we may have life and have it more abundantly. I'd like to give honor to the pastor, Pastor Harris, and the First Lady, Sylvia Harris. And I'd like to thank Reverend Henderson and his wife for organizing these beautiful young brothers and sisters. Give them a hand. And I'd like to thank all of you all for getting up on Sunday morning, because you could have stayed in bed to prepare for tomorrow night, but you came here anyway. Today is Youth Day, and Youth Day is a very, very special day, because our future lies in the hands of our youth. So much depends on them. So let's give our youth a well-deserved applause. I mean, you got to stand up for them. Let them know that they are appreciated. Let them know that they are valued. When Marcus hit those steps, I had a flashback to the 80s. And I almost got up and did a little pop locking myself. But when you get in your 40s, you start doing that stuff. Can somebody say Bengay? You can't do it like you used to. But it's always good to see that. But you all got a bad band over here, too. And Reverend, I don't know if they slipped it in or something, but I thought I heard a tune of Loving You Is Wrong, I Don't Want to Be Right. I think they slipped that in there over there. They a bad band. I said, oh, they good. They slipped that one in there on them. But you know, today I want to talk about God's expectation for our youth. You know, we have so many expectations for our youth. We expect them to go to school and make good grades. We tell them that. When you go there, you get your lesson. You listen to the teacher and make the grade. And you tell them if they make the grade, they'll get a good job and they'll have some things. Did anybody hear that speech before? We have some expectations of them when they go out among their friends. You tell them that if your friends are doing wrong, you do right. You remember what you was taught here in this house. And if your friends try to lead you wrong, you leave them. We give them expectations. But so few times do we give them expectations in the kingdom of God. Our youth have lost the understanding of what their purpose is in kingdom building. And it is imperative that we give them clear expectations, because God has expectations of young people. Whether you go from Genesis to Revelation, you will see young people having an intricate part in the kingdom building. God used them to move his spirit forward. And Dixon Grove, you have to use young people to move God's spirit forward. See, I asked them to sit on the front pew this morning because, see, I'm a contemporary conservative speaker. And so you are going to have a real nice experience here, because we're going to go through the young people's life and then we're going to come to your life. Is this all right? 1 Timothy, the 4th chapter, the 12th verse said, "Let no man despises thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in the word, in the conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity." The expectations that we have of youth in society today is a negative expectation. We hear all of the terrible things in the media that young people are doing. The FBI Uniform Crime Report says that suicide among young people are at an all-time high. They say that young people between the ages of 13 and 18 are entering into gangs at an alarming high. You hear about teenage pregnancy going up. And somebody has to ask the question, what is happening to our youth that they are expected to do wrong and they shun away from doing what is right? I'm here to tell you this morning, Dixon Grove, that the devil is after the mind and the spirit of your youth. The devil has waged war on our youth, and he intends to stop them from being future conquerors of Christ. Now, how is he doing it? Because he's slick. He's coming up to the modern day time. You see, we think that he was going to come in with a pitchfork and some horns. But that's not how he's coming today. He's coming in some Sean Johns and some Timberlands. Oh, he's coming with a Gucci watch and a Louis bag. He's coming to our youth through their ears and their eyes. He's entering their spirit through words. And I'm going to share that with you, because so many of our youth don't enter the house of God anymore. They don't know the gospel of Jesus. They know the gospel of Lil Wayne, the gospel of 2 Chainz, the gospel of Trinidad James. Not the James in the Bible, but Trinidad James. See, some of you all become disconnected from what your youth are listening to and don't understand that the iPod has been used by the devil to enter the spirit of our youth. That's why they stay plugged in. So let me bring you up to the 21st century. I ask that they sit on the front row so they become my amen corner. Because some of the things I'm going to say, they gonna amen to it. Y'all might catch up with it and get it on the way home. But let me give you a little bit of the gospel according to Lil Wayne. This is what your youth is listening to. This is how Satan enters in their ear. Lil Wayne has a song called Gonorrhea. Oh, they know it. In this song, Gonorrhea, Lil Wayne says, I'm hotter than the devil. Hell yeah, rockabye, baby. Homicide, baby. That's no more tears. Call me, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Tell it to my 9. I'll cut your tongue out and mail it to your mom. I'm a young God, swaggered, unflawed. See, this is what he's telling them. I am your God. Not Jesus the Christ, but Lil Wayne. And he's gone as far as to even tattoo a cross on his forehead. And so your children, they can quote the lyrics of Lil Wayne before they quote the scriptures of the Bible. Oh, the devil done entered into it. Let's go on to another one of the disciples. The gospel according to 2 Chainz. Oh, they know it. Look at them smiling. Look at your children's face. Because they know I'm tweaking the truth. They trying to wink at me, talking about, don't tell mama them this. Stop winking. They winking at me. Stop it, making all type of facial expressions. 2 Chainz says this. They ask me what I do and who I do it for. I come up with this stuff in the studio. Is that what he say? All I want for my birthday is a big booty. All I want for my birthday is a big, look at him smiling. When I die, I don't want to go to heaven. When I die, bury me inside of a Gucci store. When I die, bury me inside of a Louis store. Because all I want for my birthday is a big booty. They know what this is. And they talking about a garden to it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But this is what they're putting in the minds of our young men to look at women, not as objects of angelic reflection of God, but they're looking at telling our young men to look at our women as objects of sex and play. And this is why young men today won't hold the doors open for your daughters. It's because they're telling them they're nothing but a big booty and a smile. And they're accepting that in their spirit. And the young sisters who want the attention of the young men said, I don't want to reflect God. I don't want to dress up in a righteous dress. I want somebody to look at my physical attributes, because that's what the rappers are saying. That's what the young men are listening to, and that's who I want to be attracted to. Oh, I got one more for you. I told you I'm going to bring y'all up to the 21st century. We got the gospel according to Trinidad James. Now, I'm going to have to be very, very, very sensory on this one. He's a homegrown rapper right here in Atlanta, and I hope to have some pictures. I wanted to show them to you. But how many of y'all remember the Martin show? Martin Lawrence. He had a character on there called Jerome. Y'all remember Jerome? Jerome in the house. Jerome in the house. Trinidad James and Jerome can go for twin brothers. That's how he looked. Now, he has a song called All Go Everything. And I got to be real sensitive with this, because I stayed up to 2 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out how I was going to edit this. He said, this ain't for the elf ninjas. If you're a real ninja, then elf with me. This is for the hood ninja, the hip bees that show up at Lennox. Dark-skinned, light-skinned, she up here quoting it with me right here on the front. Light-skinned, Asian, white women, hype beasts, we want to know your body shoes unless they're popular. For the hip women who gyrate their bodies at Magic City, I got this good snuff. I'm smoking it with my ninjas. In that lyric right there, he's telling young women that you should strip in strip clubs. He's telling young men and women, I got this marijuana you can smoke. And this is what they're listening to as they walking up the street. As soon as they hear Trinidad James come on, they jump up like you do in the church shouting, oh, that's my song, honey. That's my song right there. See, but when I was coming up in the 80s, we had intellectual rappers. I'm not against hip-hop. We had rappers who put some sense in your head. They made sense when they rapped. They knew how to put a noun and a verb together. Isn't that right, First Lady? They knew their noun-verb agreement. They said, I'm thinking of a master plan. There ain't nothing but sweat inside my hand. So I dig into my pocket, all my money spent. I dig deeper, still coming up with lint. So I start my mission, leave my residence, thinking how I'm going to get some dead presidents. I need money. I used to be a stick-up kid. And I remember all the devious things I did. I used to roll up. This is a hole up. Ain't nothing funny. Stop smiling. But still nothing moved but the money. But now I learned to earn because I'm righteous. That's how they used to speak to us. The first thing they said is, I'm thinking of a master plan. They were telling us to think. They were telling us to put away the old life. They was telling us to pick up a new life. And they was telling us to live a righteous life. That sounds like the gospel of Jesus to me. They were leading young people back to a righteous path. But something happened. Something happened to the community. In 1984 was the most devastating year for young people. It was the year that gangster rap hit the scene. It was the year that crack hit the streets. And we started hearing out of West Coast all of the rappers talking about killing policemen and killing one another. And they glorified being in gangs. You didn't know anything about a Crip and a Blood until they brought it to us in 94 and spread it across the screen in Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, Colors. We learned these things. And so now we have all of our young brothers and sisters wanting to be a part of gangs today. They're suburban gangs. This is a different type of gang. These gang members got their own bedrooms, their own bathrooms, iPods, food in the refrigerator, but yet they got hard times. This is a different kind of gang we're dealing with. Because it's dangerous when you have what they called synthetic gang members. Because they are only imitating what they see on television. They don't understand what they're doing. So the young man believed that if I got a 9mm in my hand, I'm a man. They don't even have interpersonal communication skills anymore. They think they're going to fight everything with the gun, and so now our schools are unsafe. Just the other day, they reported that Chicago reached 500 homicides this year. And majority of those homicides were young men and women involved in gangs. Oh, we got to do something, y'all. It's time for the adults to stand up and be the moral example for our youth, or we will continue to spiral downward. The Bible says, how shall they know unless they have a teacher? And how shall he teach unless he's been sent? God is asking you, Dixon Grove, to rise up and go out and teach our youth today. They don't know unless you teach them. Many of them, as I mentioned earlier, have not entered into the house of God. And all of us know that in order for us to be successful, we have to seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of its righteousness. But our young people don't know that. And so the Bible reminds us in 2 Chronicles, the 7th and 14th verse. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sin and heal the land. Now, y'all didn't hear me. See, because if y'all heard me, y'all will feel it. If my people, which are called by my name, which shall humble themselves and pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sins and heal their land. I want the young people to repeat after me. If my people, I can't hear you, sing it like you were singing Trinidad. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sins and heal their land. Give yourself a hand. We're doing some brainwashing up in here this morning. We're going to take the devil out and put God in. God has for you, young brothers and sisters, the obligation of service. He desires for you to be servant leaders among your peers. Martin Luther King says, in his speech, the drum major instinct. Everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You don't have to know Plato or Aristotle to serve. You don't have to know Albert Einstein's theory of relativity. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics and physics to serve. All you need is a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love, and you can be that servant. Young brothers and sisters, if you want to be great, you have to serve. Jesus teaches us in Matthew, the 23rd chapter, the 11th verse, that the greatest among you will be your servant. You don't have to be great to rap on the stage. You don't have to be great to run on the football field or on the basketball court. All you have to do to be great is have a heart that is generated by love. I want to share this with you, Dixon Grove, for all of us to understand our obligation to serve. Jesus speaks to us in the 25th chapter, the 31st through the 40th verse. He said, when the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne, and all the nations will be gathered around him. And he will separate the people one from another as sheep separates from the goat. And he will put the sheep on his right and the goat on his left. And then the king will say to those on the right, come you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me. And then the righteous would answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you not? Or thirst and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? And Jesus said this, young brothers and sisters, that I want you to understand through your journeys of life. He said, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you have done it unto me. No matter how great God bless you to go, it is not until you do it to the least of them that you will become great. I close with this, Dixon Grove. I want young people to understand in this Bible, God has always used young people to do extraordinary things. The Bible teaches about Joshua, who fought the battle of Jericho. Now, Joshua was a young man. He was a assistant to Moses. He was Moses' successor. Joshua was chosen to bring the nation of Israel into the promised land. Joshua had been proven to have courage and the ability to lead. And the Bible gives an account where the Israelites being led by Joshua and crossing the Jordan to Canaan. And they were laid by siege. They laid a siege on Jericho. And there God spoke to Joshua, telling him to march the city once every day for 6 days, with 7 priests carrying ram horns in front of the ark. And on the 7th day, young brothers and sisters, they marched around the city 7 times, and the priests was blowing their horns, and the walls of Jericho began to come down. See, God used young people to bring down the walls of the enemies of the Israel. And God is going to use you to bring down the enemy among your peers. I know that it's difficult for you to stand up when all of your peers are doing wrong for you to do right. I know it's difficult to pull your pants up when your young peers got their pants pulled down. I know that it is difficult to say no to drugs when your friends are saying yes. But I want you to know for surety that God has a hedge of protection around you. And yea, you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you shall fear no evil, for his rod and staff will comfort you. This is what Joshua says to us. He said, God said, be strong, very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant gave you. Do not turn to the right or to the left, that you may be successful. And wherever you go, do not let the book of the law depart from your mouth. So instead of reciting 2 Chainz and Lil Wayne, when your friends start cutting up, start reciting some scriptures and see the presence of God bring peace among your peers. God commands you to speak the truth. Because when truth comes, falsehood vanishes. For falsehood can only exist in the absence of truth. And the Bible says that my people are destroyed because of a lack of knowledge. What knowledge? The knowledge of self and God. Your peers don't know their history, and that is why they don't have respect for their elders. Whenever you see one of your elders in here, you should shed a tear, because there was a time that you couldn't go to any Mickey D's you wanted to go to. There was a time you couldn't go to any movie theater you wanted to. There was a time you couldn't hang out with your brothers and sisters of a lighter hue. But now, because of those sacrifices that was made, you have some freedoms that generations before you did not have. And I'm telling you that it is incumbent upon you to go out and share with your peers the truth that you learned here in Dixon Grove. You cannot afford to hide your light under a bushel basket. Now, I know you're going to get weary, because sometimes working with our people is like herding cats, trying to get cats to go all in the same direction. And you get a little weary sometimes. You get a little tired. I get tired sometimes. But every now and then, God brings a diamond out of the rough. And he shows me that this is why you're laboring in the field. And he says to us in Isaiah, the 40th chapter, the 31st verse, they that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. And they shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint. Up, you mighty young brothers and sisters. It is your time to be great. Benjamin Mays put it this way. He said that life is but a minute, 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, can't refuse it. Didn't seek it, didn't choose it. But it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it. Give an account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but eternity's in it. May God bless us with the understanding of his word.